Hey everyone, I want to walk you through exactly how I like to set up my work item views in Jira. I'm going to be covering all three different project types, including software, business, and service management. And quick disclaimer, this is the way I like to work within Jira, so it might be a little bit different from how you like to work within Jira. That being said, a lot of the clients and teams that I share this with tend to adopt this way of working because it is a lot cleaner than the out-of-box solution that Atlassian provides. So I'm going to be covering some of the ways that I like to set my boards up and the way that I like to view things, and a couple of really cool new features that you may actually not know about. And oftentimes when I share these on webinars or with some of our clients, they're pretty shocked that some of this is possible because of the new things that Atlassian's rolled out recently. So because of all those recent changes, I want to cover what's possible and how I like to use Jira, including particularly with work management, because a lot has changed there. But I will start with the software boards. And I'm sure you're all familiar with how to create new boards, whether they're Scrum or Kanban style. But the first thing that I like to do when jumping in here is actually just removing all of the top bar items that I don't use regularly. And a couple of the precursors here that I like to keep in the back of my mind when doing this: I don't want to use any of these top bar items or any of these ways of viewing for reporting or for any niche use cases. For reporting, you want to use dashboards or filters. And then for any kind of niche use cases, you want to use a filter to search for all work items within Jira, because it's going to be very rare that you're searching for those specific things. These should be your work boards that you're like literally looking through every single day, using on a very, very consistent basis multiple times throughout the day. So most of the time that's going to include for me like timelines and backlog views, active sprints, calendars, lists, sometimes forms, sometimes shortcuts. Other than that, it's pretty rare that I actually have anything else on my top bar. So I'll literally go through and just start removing these and get to a point where it looks a little bit something more like this. And I have everything I need at my fingertips. I might even remove like pages and attachments ready for me to utilize on a daily basis. Inside of software boards, I also really like to show the quick filters. That way, all the relevant, really quick things that I want to hit on, I could easily click on and immediately that filter gets applied. Super powerful, super useful for teams. And then setting up any kind of boards along with that for specific teams or groups that you want to use. So that's kind of step one that I like to do. The other thing that I really like to do within the work management projects is use multiple boards. A lot of people don't actually know that this is now possible, but if you already have a board view in, like, let's say a work management design project, you can click the plus icon, click board, and add a second board view. So this one might be stories, and the other one might be tasks. If I can spell. There we go. I'll pull this over right here, and I'll rename this one to tasks just so it's super easy for me to see which one's which. And the awesome part here is that if I actually, where did it go? Let me refresh, something's glitching here. Tasks, stories, there it is. I could actually set up multiple workflows that apply to different boards. So once I have two boards set up, I'll go through, click the workflow, and I'll change this to story from task. And immediately we get another list of work items and our different boards set up similar to how we had it in our software projects. And this is something new that Atlassian's been doing. It's really awesome because you could have, let's say if you're marketing your different types of content on each board, you could have a couple of different teams on each board, different work types, different workflows. Super powerful, super useful for project management teams. This is one of the newest things that Atlassian has dropped. And really the second thing that I like to configure on my project management boards. The other thing here is the filters, a little bit different from the way that software boards work, but I'll also typically go through and add my filters in based on like priority, maybe assignee, maybe work type, and then I'll create those as quick filters. And you could essentially do that by, let's say I want to see only stories, just as an example. Then we could save this filter and actually name it. And let's say instead of using different boards, all I have to do is save this, and now my whole team has it available for them to just quickly apply a quick filter just like this. Super useful, super relevant, and again, just very work-related, like daily types of things that I would need to view. I would not set it up if I'm not viewing this board and these filters multiple times throughout the day. So those are my software and business projects, some of the new features in the way that I like to set them up and clean things up, make them really easy to use for the whole team. Once those are set up, I like to go over to my service management projects, and not a lot of you have these, but for those of you that are using service management, I really like to set up 3 queues out of the box, or like for every single team that I work with. And that's going to be something along the lines of like all open tickets or all open work items, all my tickets, and then one for like all closed or like all completed. To be honest, you can get away with those 3 queues exclusively for your team and nothing else. There's obviously a lot of other great queues that you can use, like VIP. A lot of times I start to see teams using more queues for like reporting reasons, and you do not want to do that. That is definitely a mistake. Keep the queues very light, streamlined, all open, maybe a queue for like separating your incidents versus service requests. Those are sometimes useful. VIP queues sometimes useful, but don't overload these. Don't go crazy on them. More than 10 queues and you're probably doing a little bit too much. So those are my service management projects. And again, I like to clean up the sidebar by going to the features. So project settings, features, and then I will literally toggle off anything I'm not using. And when you do this, it actively cleans up your sidebar, and just make sure that you're not disabling things that you're actively using. And when you do that, it removes things from the sidebar. Again, makes things really easy for your team to just go in, find what they need, use what they need, and actually complete their work. So hopefully that gives you some insight, some of my thought process and behind the scenes on how I actually like to run projects. I really love the way that Jira is designed and put together their project management or the business boards. I use these projects more than anything else. Even when there's like some use cases where a software project might also be a very good solution, I just tend to lean towards these because they're so much cleaner, better, easier to use. If you're not using general business projects for project management type work, you should absolutely start doing so, especially if you have like Asana or ClickUp or Notion for managing projects. This is, in my opinion, a better solution than those products because Atlassian's, number one, you're like sharing a project with everybody in your organization, but they're also taking a lot of features and a lot of the power from other project types like software projects and assets and service management projects and Confluence integrations. There's just so much power linked to these projects, but they're also so simple and easy to get set up and running with. So that's my little rant on the projects in terms of how I like to set them up, and then the business projects. I think they're super underrated and super underutilized, so definitely check them out. But yeah, that's all I had for today. Thanks, everyone. Real quick, I know this looks like a lot, and if you'd rather just have me and my team help implement exactly what I'm showing you in this video, that is exactly what we do. We're currently opening up 4 more slots for our Jira strategy. We only run 4 of these per month. If you're interested, hit the first link in the description below.